How are you handling your students as an educator and your kids as parents? Are you motivating or expecting?
Walk, walk in, chest great, we don't play. Staff talk sharp like a quiz on a Monday. Whiteboard wars, yeah, we grade all day. If you can't take that heat, stay out the hallway. Hey, this is the staff room. Say it loud, say it loud. The staff room.
Let's get into it.
All right. Welcome back to the staff room, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Matos. Thank you for all for returning. And for anybody who is new or just joining us, please don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. Listen, there's a lot of ways that we think about the ways that we interact with kids. There's old school and then there's new school. And there's a battle going on between the two. As you will always hear me support on my channel, life is about recipes. It's not about single solutions. So you can handle these situations in a couple different ways. But you always have to have a balance of expectation and motivation, a balance of structure and a balance of nurture. You can't win with just one. In this video, we're going to watch Dez Bryant give a little talk about his past and what his expectations are for the way he handles his future with kids. Let's take a watch.
It mean a lot to me. Man, I ain't trying to cry, but let me read something. It's been on my phone for about, since I met y'all, probably for like 6 years now. It say, break generational curses. Quit yelling at your kids before they go to bed and expect them to sleep well. Quit yelling at your kids in the morning right after they wake up before school and expect them to have a good day. You set the tone for your children. You set the tone you set the tone for your voice. They will always remember in their heads. You become their inner voice.
All right, let's stop right there. So first thing he said talks about is breaking generational curses. And the majority of our people in this society are of a specific class. Okay. I'm not going to speculate, but I want to say a lot of us aren't rich people, so to speak. Okay. We're just not the top 10%. It's not the way it works. And there's many kids that are in our schools right now whose parents may not have college degrees per se. They might have like associates or something like that, or maybe like technical training or something of that nature, but they don't necessarily have master's degrees and doctorates. So breaking a generational curse could be a goal of theirs. So when they come to our schools, we have to make sure that we address the fact that this is always going to be a possibility. And the one thing he touches down on, and this is pulling from his experience, it doesn't necessarily pertain to education, but I know that this happens in education. The one thing that he touches down on is you don't always have to yell. I think this is where the confusion comes from when we talk about behavior in our classrooms. How do you handle behavior? Do you have that teacher voice? Sometimes as educators, we tend to move through our days with a lack of empathy. And I don't listen, teachers and leaders, say what you want, but it happens. And you know it. So let's be honest with each other, because if we're going to continue to allow people to talk about us a certain way, we have to make sure that we address that within ourselves so that they cannot do that anymore. And this is one of those ways that sometimes we lack empathy. Sometimes we lack it. And all we know is we want the data. We want the data. We want the data. Work, work, work. You got to move. We forget the fact that we need to be motivators. What he's saying is start the day motivating, build the confidence. The way you deal with students and the way you build students in the beginning of your relationship with them is essential. If students like you, they'll do anything for you. But if they don't like you, I promise you they'll do anything to you, including not care about your data, because they know that it doesn't matter. They're going to move to the next grade anyway. So they ain't going to do anything for you unless they have a parent at home that makes them do their stuff. Spend the majority of the time building a relationship so that later on, when you need to reprimand them, that relationship is strong enough not to be torn down. And then when you're done, make sure you pull them to the side and you build it right back up. It's the way it works. A lot of these kids are way too sensitive because they have no confidence, because they've been screamed at since the moment that they woke up, and they're going to get screamed at until they go to sleep. You just don't take a step back and see yourself doing it because you're the parent or the teacher or there's an expectation. Let's continue.
Don't beat it in the critic. Speak life, speak love, speak bravery, kindness and hope. Speak wisdom and truth. Most of all, listen to your children. I never had none of that. Let me read something.
The one thing that I think is extremely important is that Des Bryant is speaking clearly from experience. He talked about listening. He said, and I think that's something that we just take for granted. A lot of the times when you come into a situation, you handle it as a leader and as a teacher, whether you're dealing with students or adults, parents or teachers. The one thing we won't do is we don't always sit there and just listen for a minute. The best of us do. I'm not saying I'm the best, but I make sure that the first thing I do is close my mouth. When I come up to a situation where I believe it has potential to go left or can get hot real quick, the first thing I tell anybody is I say, listen, let's have a seat. I want to hear what you have to say. When you're done, if you want me to give you feedback, I'll give you feedback. If you just want me to listen, I'll just listen. But you have to communicate that. And that's the way I handle things. And it works like a charm every time. The thing is that if you're handling kids in school or parents, consistency is the key. It doesn't have to be aggression. Just being consistent and doing what you say you're going to do works, especially when the things that you do are helping. If the things that you're doing are effective, and this is where leaders, you have to come into play, because the things that you put into classrooms have to be effective. You're only going to get that by collaboration. I'm sorry. If you're effective, all you have to do is be consistent. That consistency becomes the structure. That consistency tells the people that you're dealing with what I say I'm going to do. Therefore, there's no power struggle. When it comes to educating, when it comes to leading, motivation is not the same as expectation. You have to use motivation to get the behavior that you want. Then you use expectation to maintain the consistency. We can all say that we're great teachers, but we have to practice that way. We can all say that we're great leaders, but we have to practice that way. We can't just come in and think this is going to be lean on me, because the world doesn't work that way anymore. I'm sorry, but there's just no such thing as old school education anymore. Staff room.
Walk in, chest great, we don't play. Staff talk sharp